This is the Glass Cannon Network.
Greetings, scoundrels, and welcome back to Doskvol, the dark jewel of Akaros. I'm Jared Logan. You're watching Haunted City. This is a show where we play the game Blades in the Dark by John Harper. Blades in the Dark, a game of pulling heists and scores in a haunted city full of ghosts and trouble and villainy. And you get to be the villains. That's one of the best parts of this game. You get to be nasty, underhanded, dangerous characters. Let's meet these dangerous characters right now. We have, I'm going to go ahead and say, and I mean this spiritually as well as physically, the handsomest cast I could possibly hope to have procured to play in this game with me. First, the master of esoteric lore, the scholar of gematria, Kabbalah, the occult. Please welcome professional actor and improviser, Mr. Ross Bryant.
Hey, Jared. Yeah, thanks for that wonderful and kind introduction. It always feels good to be referred to as spiritually handsome. And yes. You know me, I'm always just loving taking time to indulge in your games in the moments that I'm not delving into the sacred numerology of various esoteric texts and ascending the tree of the Sephiroth.
Yes. Every time I text Ross, I'm like, hey, man, what you doing? He's like, ascending the tree of the Sephiroth. And that's how our text combos go. She is the only player to have read the book. She's also a fantastically talented actress, improviser, role player, and we love having her in every game we play. When she played a horror game with me where everybody was a Frankenstein, these three players, actually, she had a voice that gave me nightmares. Please welcome Josephine McAdam.
It's just how I love to be remembered.
Yes, a voice that gives me nightmares.
Hello. I've only read parts of the book relevant to my own character. So if you ask for something really left field, I will have no idea what you're talking about.
For a player, that's amazing. Usually players show up having not looked at the book, you know? They're kind of like, what are we doing? Can I be a thief? I don't know what's going on. But you read some of the book, and that's gigantic.
Some. It's a really cool book. The more I read, the more I wanted to keep reading, because my intention was only to read about 2 pages. And then I kept wanting to find out more and seeing more, and I was like, oh my God, we can do what? So I'm excited. And you may be excited now, but you might regret how much I've read by the end of this. So.
If you start actuallying me, boy.
It's already done, right?
Oh, I'm going to come right back at you. I'm going to straighten my glasses even harder. All right. I'm joking. Please bring everything out of the book that you can. You can't throw a fastball at me that I can't catch in midair. Like a master of telekinesis. Okay, coming next to the stage, this man, I mean, he needs no introduction, but here comes an overly wordy one. You can see him on HBO's Raised by Wolves, which is in season 2 and is the greatest science fiction show to come onto television in years. You can hear his voice in some of your favorite video games, and you can see him in my role-playing games, usually just making a terrible mess of things, knocking over any story I try to put in his path, and attacking the other player characters. I'm attacking my mic. Apologies to the audio snobs in the audience. There will be a slight clang as I hit my mic. Please welcome the eminently talented Mr. Abu Salim.
Hey, that was great. That was wonderful.
Thank you. I got really excited and then my arms started flailing, which is not good for perfect audio.
We all get excited, and you know what? I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Some of us get excited and we look cooler and sexier. That would be you. And some of us get excited and we start foaming at the mouth. And that would be me.
Okay.
But that's okay. We all have our differences. There are different ways that we work.
In fairness to Jared, he was bitten by a rabid raccoon a couple of days ago.
Oh, that's true.
Hence the foam.
True. That makes sense.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot, apparently. So here we are. We have our incredible players, role-playing experts, extraordinaires, all three of them, and they are about to dive into the city of Doskvol and the game that is Blades in the Dark. Abu, you have the least experience with the system, with the game.
So you're
How
going
are you
first.
feeling so far? I mean, what do you think of this? Do you understand? You probably are kind of still in the dark about a lot of things about the world, right?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, like, look, I think that's what's really exciting about it is that I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, no idea how I'm getting into it. But what ends up happening, essentially, always happens with me. It's like I start something and then I'm like, oh, I want to read up on it. And then I'll like go through the internet and then I'll come back with all sorts of information and stuff and become obsessed with something. So yeah, I can't wait. I think the most exciting bits I do find is the beginnings, especially when you're trying to find your character and find your footing. You know, it's finding the voice, right? I think that's what's really, really terrifying. But yes, I have no idea what the hell I'm playing. I'm genuinely like to the point where, you know, I don't even know. I don't even know where the book is. I'm just reading, you know, all sorts. I'm trying to commit crimes to get some form of idea of what I'm supposed to be doing in this thing. So
Great.
That's
right. No, you've got it. You're ready. Let's teach him, Josephine and Ross. Let's teach you about the world, Abu. Your character Valkos, a Severosi chieftain's son. A Severosi nobility in a way, although they roam the plains of their country and like as like horse lords, like fighting off ghosts. Your character has come to Doskvol, and I think I should paint for each of you a day in the life of your character as far as I know it, and then I'm going to let you take the reins and kind of tell me what you're doing. I'm going to let you have a scene that you kind of set for us to kind of introduce your character to us a little bit. But I just want to let you know that you live in a city on the edge of an enormous black sea. And that sea, it's like ink black. But the strange thing about it is that if you look down into its depths, you can often see lights sparkling down in the depths. The stars are in the sea in this sort of photo negative kind of fantasy steampunk world that we find ourselves in. And the city that you live in is this massive conglomerate of buildings that have been tacked on buildings that have been tacked on buildings. The structures in Doskvol have been torn down and built on top of for many generations, for 1,000 years, so that there are buildings from hundreds of years ago that now have corridors attaching them to brand new structures, and the whole thing ends up being this polyglot, insane kind of gothic nightmare with like castles attached to giant Tesla coils that generate electricity that's protecting the city from the deathlands that surround it. Because 1,000 years ago, something terrible happened. 1,000 years ago, it was a land of dragons and fairies and unicorns and people with swords and brave knights, and someone's bid to save the world didn't work out. The good guys lost 1,000 years ago. The sun was shattered, and the gates to the realm of the dead were torn open. And now, when anyone dies, their shade eventually pulls itself free from their corpse. And there are relatively safe or non-dangerous versions of ghosts that make their way about, that manage to keep their sanity and identity, but there are just as many that go feral, that become ravenous for life, that possess the living with ill intention in mind, and some that even go completely monstrous and become these enormous gestalt beings made of ectoplasm. So that is what surrounds the city. And so the city must keep those ghosts out using these lightning towers. The lightning towers, and it's also the only thing that gives the city light, are the electricity generated by electroplasm. Electroplasm is this sort of resource that the only way that the city can get it is by hunting, fishing for basically these leviathans that live out in the sea, these enormous demons that dwell out in the sea. So enormous ships captained by the nobility of Doskvol head out into the sea, and they slay these demons, and they bring their blood back to Doskvol, and that blood can be refined into the marvelous electroplasm that protects the city and also gives the city light. So finally, making my way around to your characters, I can tell you that life is hard for everyone here, but it's especially hard for you right now. Wherever you've been in the past, if you've been a member of the Sparkwrights Guild, the people that build that lightning technology like Juliet, or whether you were once a chieftain of Severos, like Valkos, Abu's character, or whoever you are, you now have no coin. I'm looking at your crew sheet, the sheet about your crew. You don't have 2 coins to scrape together. You're completely destitute. You're at tier 0 in the ladder of the faction game of Doskvol, which means you're little known, you're not respected, and that means that you're probably living thin. It probably means that your food is mostly in the form of mushrooms, which are grown in these like mushroom tunnels. And out of these mushrooms, they make mushroom bread, like a thin kind of dusty mushroom bread. Sometimes people that live very poor in Doskvol, they will go to this place where they give out algae. Algae that is dredged from the canals is brought up and offered to the public to be used as a foodstuff. And so probably all of you lately have been eating more than a few bowls of algae soup or seaweed kind of gumbo. It doesn't taste good, and especially if you once lived as a chieftain or a respected guild member. I don't know about Celiacon, Ross's character. He might be used to this kind of fare. But here you are. Let's go to 6 towers, and if you look at roll 20, we can see that your lair is there in 6 towers, and according to your crew sheet, you have a lair in a sunken grotto beneath 6 towers, deep down beneath the strata of the street. You have a workshop there, and you have a humble lair, a humble place to plan your crimes and to plan your takeover of the city. And so I will start the characters there, not necessarily that you're all there right now. I'm now going to point to one of you, and I'm going to let you show us your character, and you can immediately leave said sunken grotto and go off to do something else. But what I would tell you to do is to find a way to make some coin. You need to find your next score. It's very important. If you don't find your next score soon, I'm going to start giving you level 1 harm called hungry, because you guys are at the very bottom rung, and you've got to start putting together some coins so you can feed yourself. So the way you find your next score, and I'm almost done talking. Sorry, internet, it's coming. The way you find your next score is looking at your sheet. You can see that you have allies that you could go and talk to. If you look at roll 20 here, your crew has allies. You have a +1 with the Foundation, who are like the Architects Guild, the master architects and city planners of Doskvol. You have a +2 with the Path of Echoes, which are a mystery cult that likes to consort with spirits. You have allies on your sheet. For example, your crew has an ally, a tavern keep named Rigney. Your personal sheets have allies on them. You also have enemies. Go and look these people up. See if they have a job for you. Even an enemy might possibly pose some sort of potential line of work for your crew of shadows, thieves and saboteurs. And so I want to start with someone who has the most experience in Doskvol with my friend Russ Bryant. Tell me about Celiacon. Tell me, first of all, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're in our grotto.
Yes, perhaps you've just eaten an unsatisfying mushroom gruel of some sort.
Yeah. So maybe like back in the shadows of this workshop in the dim light, there is a very like extremely slender and sort of hooded figure, and you could see just the lacquer bowl of this gray goop kind of like disappearing, and as he lifts it to his lips and tilts his head back, if you were to look past the candlelight, you would see perhaps a bolus of this ooze going down a visible throat, because Celiacon's skin is translucent. It's like an anatomical doll in a that you'd buy at a science museum, and
this is due to his Tycherosi heritage, correct?
Yes, the Tycherosi folk are said to be have a heritage that is demonic. That way back up the bloodline, someone mated with a demon. That's the folklore. But as a result, folks from this part of the world always look a little odd, and Celiac has a particularly odd visage in that if you look in the right light, you can see the muscles and the skull and the skeleton working behind the skin. Then I think Celiacon is like assuming a sort of rigorous position with like fingers raised and in a sort of like sigilistic pose, and on either side of him are two little cones of incense that purple smoke is sort of rising around him as he's trying to like tamp down hunger in a sort of ascetic way by meditating on the fact that hunger just feeds the flesh. The flesh is just material, and material will pass away, take on another form, but there's a spark within that will live on. And if I focus on that, then perhaps the hunger won't bite so painfully.
Very good. I mean, this is free play, so if anybody else if any other player at any other time wants to step into the scene, they may, or we may just follow Celiac for a moment and see what his plans are.
This has got to be every time we eat, though, that it's this level of involvement on Celiac's part, and then we're just eating, like in a normal fashion across the way.
Celiac is saying elaborate prayers before and after meals, like you'll just see his lips working over his black teeth, and perhaps in this state of contemplation, where not enough food is reaching him to make the thoughts are coming in this sort of like dreamlike, hypnagogic sort of state, like he's so hungry, and a face sort of resolves in his mind's eye, someone who is offering him a toothsome morsel. And that's the face of someone he knows. Someone on his sheet. Quellen, a witch.
Quellen, a witch. Yeah. So he could go and he could see Quellen. He could go talk to Quellen. He knows where she hangs out, and she actually has digs in Six Towers, which is the district of Doskvol where you all make your home. Make your lair.
Great.
Let me tell you about Quellen. Quellen, she's old. She dabbles in magic that is often dangerous, and constantly downplays how dangerous it is. Maybe this is why you are interested in her, but she definitely does things that even, some of the cults of the Forgotten Gods and various whispers throughout the city would say are sort of dangerous to do. She lives in a broken down little house at the end of a quiet lane here in Six Towers. Six Towers, of course, used to be the moneyed section of the city before Brightstone and White Crown became the center of the wealthy elite in Doskvol. And now Six Towers has fallen on hard times. So the entire district is filled with these once beautiful mansions that are crumbling, that are covered in ivy. Strange fungus is growing up the sides of them, mosses, just buildings that are collapsing into each other. And at the end of a little lane of such houses, kind of like something you might see on the outskirts of Detroit, is a humble cottage where smoke still pours forth from the chimney. There's someone living in that cottage, and that happens to be Quellen, your witch contact. Would you like to go and talk to her?
I would. I think that's what is like. I feel as though I've either my own mind or perhaps she herself has reached out to me in some way across, and that the gods have offered me in this way an answer to my prayers. So you the rest of, I guess the both of you would maybe see me, this figure like rise up and taking an ablution of incense smoke, and then sort of a sweep by you.
Yes, and even though it is our friend Celiac's contact, once again I will open the scene to any of the other players if they would like to be present. Mm-hmm. But I can start to narrate what happens when you get into the cottage.
Or I can even and I think that Celiac is a Tycheros, and so from far away. So, and we said he was maybe generations in Doskvol. So
yes,
I think he maybe retains just like a touch of like the Outlands accent of his parents. It's just like I'm going to see a friend. I've received what I think might be a summons. If anyone would care to join me, then...
Where are you going? I see you've got that look in your eyes.
Not far. I do not know if you've made the acquaintance of Quellen, who lives not far from here.
No, I don't know many people, to be honest. Not of the same circles as you, I imagine. That's what makes us unique. Why don't you just let us know how it goes, and I will try my own methods of getting us a little better food.
and perhaps like kind of look deeply in you, and it's like, we will find our way through this. Just remember that there is also spiritual nourishment to be had, not only a nourishment of the flesh. And he puts a hood up over his head and walks away.
And then we will cut to the cottage of Quellen. We will cut to the cottage of Quellen, and the second you step through the doorway, you don't even bother knocking because you are allies, you are friends. She is cooking. She's puttering about in the kitchen that is right across the entryway into her tiny cottage. And when you enter, her back goes tense, and without turning around, she goes, "You felt my summons."
God, what am I in?
Yes, join us. It could not be ignored. Yes, my friend, I felt you reach out and touch me.
She walks forward, and she's a tiny little lady. She actually is like if I was gonna give her a shape, it's spherical, but I mean like very spherical little woman, right? And she kind of wobbles over to you, and she seems very old, which, by the way, is quite an accomplishment in Doskvol, because a lot of people die pretty young, especially at this level of the city. And she looks up at you, twinkle in her eyes, and she goes, "Let me look at you." And she pats your face. Yeah, she pulls your hood back. Yeah, and she pats your face, and she goes, "Oh, you're getting cloudy." Yes. Well, I may have a way that I can help you.
What help I can offer, I would be glad to provide.
Come, sit down. Here, have a little mushroom tea.
He takes that and tries not to do it too greedily, and just like cupping the little bowl in his hand, is like sipping and listening.
So, I understand that you are looking for opportunities for your crew.
In order to receive opportunities, you must cultivate the correct mindset to make yourself amenable to the abundance that would surround you if you were only open the gates of your mind. You have knocked on the doors of my mind. What do you have to offer?
I can see you're already going to be amenable to this opportunity. Yes, this is what I like about you. No judgments. You are open to what exists outside of this flesh and blood, aren't you? Aren't you, Celiacon? Well, I have a potential client for you, someone greatly in need of your services, someone who needs something stolen. But I will hasten to add that this theft will not be unethical. No, you will simply be giving back what rightfully belongs to this person. This person also happens to be dead. You see, my friend, I have recently made contact with a member of the Reconciled. A very safe ghost, I assure you. I wasn't detecting any sort of disturbance or instability in the ectoplasmic field at all. This ghost is completely in control of its faculties and, asks a humble service of you and your team.
What peace we can offer to them? We will be doing a blessing to all by reconciling them with what they have lost.
Yes, well, it seems that while they were in the land of the living, they squirreled some items away in Saltford's bank. Are you familiar with Saltford's?
I confess that lately I have not had the strength or inclination to move much about our fair city. What can you tell me about it?
It's a private bank on the docks. Many sailors coming back from wild adventures out in the world, out in the sea, have brought their gains, ill-gotten and otherwise, to Saltford's to keep them safe. And many starving scoundrels such as yourself have thought to storm Saltford's and take the items hidden therein, and they have been thwarted, yes. But you see, there happens to be a safety deposit box belonging to this ghost, and now that they are dead, well, they lack the means to access their account.
but they assure me that there are prizes enough inside for them to take back what belongs to them, and for you to be, well, for us to be paid.
Very well. I will consider this job. Can I have the pleasure of knowing the name of the deceased individual in question who has sought out your services and inspired you to seek out our own?
I'm afraid that I am not at leisure to share the name. The exact safe deposit box is box 190578192.
Very well. 190578192.
Yes, exactly. Simply
Mnemonics, Quellen.
And this is the part of the game where I make Ross do a small memory test. And so consider my friend on the other side is quite anxious to have these items returned to them.
Well, I will of course discuss this proposal with my colleagues, and we will see if we can come to an arrangement that is amenable to all parties. As always, I thank you for reaching out to me in a language we both understand.
Yes, you see beyond into the ghost fields, Celiac. Oh, there are many treasures there for us to get our greedy little fingers on, aren't there?
Yes, of course. But know that I do not wish to be compelled by greed, merely. Simple avarice, the desire to possess, to control, to contain. But the desire to set right what has been scattered to those that do not know how to make proper use of the materials that have been lost. There is that which remains, and we must make proper use of this sacred remnant. Yes?
And I'm already rolling something in the book, and I'm not going to tell you what I'm rolling, because that's the kind of bastard I am. Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. And so there you go. While our friend Celiac was kind of getting that opportunity, I will go ahead and cut straight to Juliet, who is already out in the streets somewhere doing something. Juliet, what are you about? What are you doing? Show us something about your character.
I would, the veil is down. I'm all in black. I kind of float through the streets as I walk. Almost spirit-like herself, floating from one thing to the next. She's trying to make her way to her apothecarist friend?
Apothecary.
Well, yeah, is that the term? Okay, her apothecary friend.
Yes.
Stasia.
Great. Stasia, yes. So Stasia also, the reason that you have digs in Six Towers is because you are near your allies. And so Stasia, when you go to a kind of a more businessy thoroughfare of Six Towers, our friend Celiac was just off in one of the mostly abandoned kind of little arteries of that part of town. But you kind of make it over to a more main thoroughfare where there are restaurants that people sometimes, if they're brave, venture to. You've come to Comer Way here in Six Towers, and she doesn't have a huge storefront, but Stasia does have a storefront, and hanging from the front of it are all kinds of weird fruits and herbs and gourds that kind of hang from the door. There's an odd wreath It's not holiday based. It lets off some sort of aroma that's supposed to bring business into her confines of her tiny shop. She's just down the street actually from the Golden Plum, which is actually an extremely lauded restaurant here in Six Towers. But you come to Stasia's door, and you may enter if you'd like.
Yes, I'll knock before I do,
Very
and
good.
and open the door.
Come in.
Hello, Stasia.
Juliet, hi. One moment, I'm just finishing something. And you see she's working the mortar and the pestle. And
Yes.
she's dripping something glowing into like an enormous beaker. And then when the mortar and pestle stuff is done, she's like, avert your eyes.
Oh, of course.
And she drops it in, and there's like a big flash. It's like a flashbang grenade. It like doesn't go away for a while. Like it kind of just very slowly, the light sort of returns to the way it should. And she's like, I gotta be honest, I'm not even sure if that worked or not.
What is it you're working on?
It's a new formula. Something that will give people energy. Literally, a little bit of, spark.
Really? Have you tested it?
Well, I haven't been able to make very much yet.
How much is in front of her right now?
Just the tiny little drab that she exploded into the room just now. She kind of comes over to you. Stasia's not old. She's maybe late 20s. She's got long tresses of kind of red hair. She's Akaros by birth. She is kind of like covered in like dust and like smudges from her alchemicals and things like that. And she always seems like a little too chilled out to be safe around these kind of chemicals.
Well, I would be happy to take some off your hands and play around with it some if you are needing some more experimentations on it, that is.
You want me to try this stuff on you? You want a little taste?
I would love a little taste, yes.
You really don't mind? Because I might not have the
don't.
formula right. It could be. I might be way off.
Well, what was your step-by-step process? How did you get to this point?
Well, you don't understand a lot of the alchemical regions.
Okay. Oh yeah, I'm sure I don't understand. Okay, fine. And can I just stick my pinky in it and then try some?
Rub a little on your gums.
Her eyes go really wide, and she's like, "Whoa!" As you take a little taste, and I can tell you that there is a spark on your tongue. And then you do feel energized, and you feel kind of like a shiver go up your spine, but it's very pleasant. It's like an electrical current kind of curls up your spine for a second. And as she's watching you, your eyes light up like electric current from a lightning tower. Your eyes kind of crackle and literally light up the room for a second.
Wow.
Magnificent. A success, I would say.
Good.
Wow. Yes.
It's good.
Oh, it's delicious. Yes. Lingering as well.
Okay.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
That's spark. Yeah. Yeah. That's spark. It's good.
Will you?
stuff, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna have a little bit.
Yes. Go ahead.
What is going on?
How hard do you and Stasia usually party?
Well, I mean, we like to try things, okay? So it varies. Some days it's a bust. Some days it's really wild. But it's usually all contained to this place only. We don't let it slip out onto the streets. We try to contain it.
Until tonight.
I'm just wondering if we should try a roll for the first time, just to see.
Let's do it.
I want to roll for you to kind of party, and you can define it how you want. Are you partying safely? Are you really letting go and seeing how absolutely crazy you can get? Define that for me, and then pick an action that you would use.
I think that Juliet is thinking, oh gosh, this. Do you think this could potentially replace food? Does it actually give energy, or could it keep me up all night as I'm working on an experiment? And do I maybe perhaps not need to sleep while I'm on this? Maybe I should check and see how long I can stay up on this. And
that's a great idea.
Perhaps I will. This is like a thought experiment in my mind. This is an actual experiment to see the longevity, and would this perhaps be some studying at hand?
Sure, I'll allow it. One of the incredible things about Blades in the Dark is that you can use any action to do any task in Blades in the Dark. And so because you've defined it as, I'm going to see how long I can stay up, sort of like learning this formula and all of that, using this as sort of a stimulant, then study works perfectly. And the only reason I'm doing this right now, normally we would wait till something is really on the line, but I want to just kind of show everybody how rolls work. So that's why we're doing this right now. So you're going to use your study action. How many pips do you have in study?
I have 1 pip.
So you're going to roll 1 die. Now, later we can talk about how you can get extra dice by like kind of pushing yourself and things like that. But because this is sort of like a low stakes roll, we're not going to get into all those extra little rule permutations as of yet. You're going to roll 1 die. If you get a 1 to 3, you've failed. If you get a 4 to 5, you've succeeded, but there's some sort of consequence. If you get a 6, you have completely succeeded. And so I would like for you to go ahead and roll for me. Would you please roll for me?
Yes.
I will,
and
announce.
What position am I in?
Oh,
for this roll.
Can't believe I forgot this part. So you are in a controlled position because, as you said, you are in your friend's laboratory. Everything is safe. You're not in like kind of a dangerous situation at all. And this will be for standard effect. If it works, it will work standardly. It won't reveal some sort of amazing vista of genius to you, but it also will have the effect of you will use this stimulant and you will stay up all night studying.
Okay, here goes. And it's a 4.
A 4. So you succeeded with a consequence. And in this particular case, I will say that the consequence is that, yes, you and her stay up all night just talking wildly, like just really hopped up on spark, just like thinking about every idea you've ever had, and she reveals the entire formula to you, and it's really quite amazing. God. And the only thing that you need to make a lot more of it is like all you need is just some electroplasm, and you know what? You could
we could just steal it.
You could just get some of it.
We could just steal it.
Oh my God! And there's that big facility the Sparkrights have in Coleridge.
Oh yes, I hate them.
And the trucks go back and forth out of there all the time with electroplasm on the truck, on the hulls.
Of course,
on the carriages and on the hulls.
Genius,
oh my gosh! And so after a couple of hours of this. Here's your consequence. The hangovers from Sparks sort of sets in. And you end up feeling literally fried. In fact, I'm going to say that like even your clothes are like a little singed. And for like the rest of the day, a little bit of like wisps of smoke are kind of coming out of your nose and mouth, even though you're not smoking a cigarette.
Fantastic.
But basically, you have rooted out another lead. Raw electroplasm could make a lot of this stuff. And people will obviously pay good coin for it. There are hulls and carriages going in and out of that Sparkright facility in Coleridge. If someone were to just get her 1 canister, Stasia could make a whole bunch of this stuff.
Yes.
And then she'd cut you in on the profits.
Yes. What would it take to get that recipe? Could I retain as she was going on and on about what made it, how
Your
she
study roll was
produced
a
it?
success, wasn't it?
Yes.
Your roll was a success, so I'm going to say you absolutely do retain the entire formula for how to make spark. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a fortune roll right now to see how long this hangover is going to last. And the hangover from spark, it's going to just make maybe something. It might make some things a little harder for you, Juliet, for a little while. And then the other thing is it's visible, right? Like smoke curls from your mouth. Your clothes are kind of singed, so people can mark you as a spark user. And,
I feel like, because I've got this veil down too. If I ever lift it, it's just like a plume of like pent up smoke that just billows out.
Yeah. And so I will leave you with that opportunity for right now, because now it's time to talk to Valkos. Valkos, where are you in the city? What are you doing?
I think I think I was at the grotto and I was just sitting there and I was seeing everyone move and leave. I was just sort of like taking them in and taking the environment in, and I'm sort of looking up and just sort of trying to hear things, see things, and I think every now and then I think I heard something or hear something. I think, you know what? It's just my stomach rumbling. I'm hungry. And then I kind of get up and I'm this like kind of big, massive hulking form. And I sort of make my way and mosey my way over, and I think I'm going to go see my friend, Sawtooth.
Sawtooth, yes.
Such a good name.
Yeah.
Very good. Sawtooth, he is more in the kind of abandoned section of Six Towers. He has a clinic there. He's a physiker, which means he's a healer. And Valkos, he is also probably a Severosi, but not like you, straight over from Severos. Like his parents lived here in Akaros, so he is of Severosi descent. I guess there's a lot of fear of going to a Severosi physiker, because sometimes they have sort of really rough healing practices that they use, because they come from that sort of tribal culture over in Severos. So he doesn't look like he's doing very well. His dilapidated little studio is kind of on its last legs. You have to climb a couple flights of rickety wooden stairs to get in there. The place it doesn't look like a place you'd want to be healed. There's like food out. It's buzzing with flies. And he comes out of the back like eating something and smearing it onto his ample belly. And he's like, Valkos, hello. How are you, my friend?
Yes, very good. Hungry. Very hungry.
Well, I'm living on broth. I mean, business hasn't been so good lately, but you're welcome to a little of this algae broth. He kind of taps it out of like a kind of a big container that he has over to the side that sits in front of you, and it sits there gray and evil looking, and he offers it to you.
It seems that business has not been very good for you.
No. I mean, I'm afraid I haven't even enough to resupply. Look, and he's like digging out how he only has like a couple bandages left, and like some of this stuff is rusting. I actually had a little idea. I was gonna call on you myself.
Okay. What's your idea?
Well, you see, I was thinking if maybe a lot of folks with money, some folks with money, got badly hurt, and then if someone was to convince them to come here, well, I could split that with you, 50-50.
That's not a bad idea, my friend.
Yes, I mean, of course, the easy part is hurting people. I mean, I can do that. And he pulls out like a bone saw and smashes it against the counter a couple times. And the hard part is, getting my business card to them beforehand, or however you would want to work that.
No. I
will
believe
say,
I have a way of helping you. I simply need a business card that you hold dear to you. Yes. And then I give it to them while I beat them to a pulp. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm not exactly sure that would work, but you're welcome to a business card.
It will work. Please give it to me.
He hands you a card. You're a very scary man. You're a very scary presence.
Yes.
Yeah.
People say that. I'll be back. Stay here. Get your apparatus
Valkos,
ready.
be sure to really break some limbs, because I can't charge a lot for bruises if I'm just putting a couple bandages on. Like, you need to hurt them and as many people as possible.
Yes. Yes. And I sort of just start walking out with this card in my hand.
All right, well, let me know. Now, everybody has a lead now. You have a type of job that you can carry out. But let's talk about what jobs are the smartest, or how you. This is where the strategy of the game comes into play. So, if I bring up your shadows sheet, you'll see that you earn XP when you engage in a sabotage or a thievery, a burglary, espionage, robbery, or sabotage. Those are the types of jobs that you earn extra XP for. So when you are deciding which job you'd like, take that into account. Another thing to take into account when you're deciding on a job is the difficulty level versus the reward, right? So if something seems really tough, it's going to give you more reward. For example, breaking into a bank seems a little harder than just making sure people get the snot beat out of them. But one might seem more fun than the other, So there's that. And I also want to say that, like, we don't have to leap right into choosing one of these things right now. Right now, you can, if anybody has like something somewhere else they want their character to go, something else they want their character to look into, they can do that right now. We can take a little bit more time with this kind of free play portion.
I want to feel out what it's like when we're just all at the grotto, though.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think I'm going to head back to the grotto.
This dynamic.
Yeah, me too.
Great. So great.
I love these guys.
After a hard day of the roommates out looking for work, they all return to the sunken grotto beneath Six Towers, to their workshop, let's have them kind of discuss their opportunities.
I assume I show up the next morning.
Yes.
Early, stumbling in.
Of course, in Doskvol, that just means that the electric lights have just changed to a different kind of level of brightness through, and in Six Towers, many of those lights are out. So you wander home through the dark, and you go down into the sewer, down into the canals. The smell of fish and garbage meets your nostrils as you finally move into a home sweet home, your sunken hidden grotto beneath the street.
Hello, my fellow strange ones. I hope the night treated you well. It feels like a little, I know it's strange, but bright in here. I feel.
It is not the quality of our room that I had noticed. out of the shadows. This horrific.
There you are. Yes.
Celiac, actually, the only thing that seems bright is Juliet, who is lightly glowing.
Right. What is this? I've not. And it seems as though someone has spent a night of indulgence.
Experimentations, study, a very academic and studious, rigorous evening I have had for us, for all of us, for our benefit. Yes.
I too have made certain studies over the course of the evening.
Yes. Please tell me. I'm just going to lay down while you speak for a moment. I'm listening.
Yes, you're not only listening, but also smoking, my friend.
Yes, it looks like I am. Well, yeah. I'm just going to air out some smoke. I'll lift the veil, which I only do when we are here back at the grotto. Then I lift it and let it sit behind. Like, I don't know. But okay, I take out like a notepad. I always have an old pen, and I write down. I guess I will start noting the side effects, but it's not, still worth it.
If you've
wait till you can try.
If you have been finding extra work as a chimney sweep, you can tell us. You do not have to be embarrassed.
You're so funny. No, it's not a chimney sweep.
No.
Where is Valkos? Is Valkos here, or is he out in the street?
He's
out
just
on the street
sitting
somewhere?
and watching, kind of just staring.
Okay.
Of course.
I was waiting for you because I have I've received a vision.
Of course.
And subsequently, I have received a proposal. Mm-hmm. Something for which our talents might be put to good and, I might hope, somewhat lucrative use.
Oh, yes, I like the last word. Go on.
I do not know if you've made the acquaintance of my friend Quellen, who has abilities not unlike the ones that from time to time I am grateful to profess. She has made the acquaintance of a certain deceased individual who wishes to be reunited with certain items that are currently, alas, being held at a certain safe deposit box at Sulford's Bank.
Deceased.
If someone could...
You say like a ghost? Spirit? What?
Yeah,
Deceased?
Yes, Valkos. Just because one has perished does not mean their voice has been silenced for eternity. Many are most unquiet, as I think you know.
Yes.
Do they have their faculties? Are they themselves? Are they not overtaken by madness?
My friend tells me that they are in the peak of clarity. Their faculties still remain, and yet there is that which within that yearns to be reunited with that which they have sadly lost.
I will break in for just a second to say, to let everybody know, that the ghosts being of their faculties is extremely rare, because the reason that Doskvol is surrounded by lightning barriers is because ghosts often don't keep their faculties or their identity. And in fact, anytime anyone dies in Doskvol, their body is immediately claimed by a group, a city service called the Spirit Wardens. From Bellwether Crematorium, a spirit crow flies out. The bells ring at Bellwether Crematorium, and the spirit crow finds the body and leads the spirit wardens to it. The spirit wardens take possession of the body, and they burn it in the crematorium before the ghost can manifest. That is anytime there is any death in Doskvol. And so I will just say, Quellen, if she has found a ghost that is of its faculties, has found a very rare thing. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Not at all. I know that the sorrows of the passing will often twist and bend the minds of our departed friends, but my friend assures me that this one is in full possession of its mortal faculties, though it no longer, alas, possesses its flesh.
How did he do this? How?
Josephine, you ask me questions now for which there are no answers that I can provide. Secrecy from my patron is, of course, sometimes required.
You just called her by her real name.
Oh, whoops.
I probably should have picked something like. I'm like, is it too similar now that I?
Juliet, of course. So this, I sometimes mix up my multisyllabic, vaguely francophone names.
I'm going to stand and kind of come up to, is it Celiac?
Celiac.
See, everybody messes up names. It's everyone does it, and it's not a big deal. We can all move past it, not make a thing about it.
I'm gonna kind of look up at him, and I'm gonna be like, "You speak of the dead as if they live and walk among us, asking us for work. Yet, what you are simply proposing is that we do a job for something so rare, so unbelievable, that you make it almost sound so easy. I personally don't believe it."
Oh, I assure you, my friend, it will not be easy.
Tell the witch that we want to meet them if we are to do their job.
This is a condition which I fear my contact will be loath to adhere to, but I can attempt to persuade her. Unless you have some other idea for how we shall fill our stomachs in the weeks ahead.
And we will take a brief pause. You out there listening, watching, what job do you want them to take? Think about it while we go to a short break, and we'll be back. And when we come back, we will decide our score for the eve, and we will begin said score. And we return to a sunken grotto beneath the district of 6 Towers. You hear the dripping water. Oh, look at that. What is that scurrying along the edge of the old stone wall in here? Oh, it's a rat. Maybe our crew could catch that and they could eat that. And that would stave off hunger for a little while. Or maybe there's bigger game out there that they're going to go catch and devour and pull coin from. What job, what score will they decide to take on this evening? Let's find out. We're wondering what's going to happen next. What job you're going to choose. And I return to Valkos and Juliet and Celiac in their grotto discussing this.
Well, I feel we need more information, and I want to meet this spirit, this ghost who we would be. We've got to work that into the deal, Celiac. You have to work it in. I believe in you. You are very charming in your own ways. I know you can convince your friend.
I can, of course, seek to change the terms of our arrangement. Have you any other ideas of how our coffers might be filled?
Yes. Last night, I got to study very closely with another purely academic colleague a new substance, spark, and it gives. I was sure you saw the effects of it on me when I came back. I mean, it filled me with so much energy and drive, and I could go and I could work on so much, and I had energy that I had not felt on all of this algae and mushrooms we have been eating for days. anyway, during this evening of study, I also learned how to make it, but we lack one key ingredient, which is the electroplasm that would be required for it. But I also have a solution for this, because there are trucks that move in and out of Coleridge that are delivering the electroplasm to the Sparkrites. It's something I'm, well aware of, and I'm sure I could find out more information if there's anyone there still willing to speak to me. But it would be great. We could steal from them and take it for ourselves, and then we could sell it for lots and lots and lots of coin. And then the world is ours. Yes?
Yes. We take the plasm from the carriage, provide
Yes.
this to your contact, and they refine it into this substance, as you call it, and we partake in a share of the profits.
We could sell some to my friend. I mean, it's only polite since they did, show me and tell me all of the information. But I could also produce it myself. Here. For us. And sell some. Of course, we would need the money. I just, it would seem a waste to be so close and then not utilize some of it ourselves.
Am I to assume that you perhaps feel the urge to partake again in what you have just experienced?
It's not an uncontrollable urge, if that is what you are trying to get at, Celiac. It is purely I am...
For someone who says that they don't want to partake in it, you talk a lot.
In fact, as she's speaking, smoke is billowing out of her mouth.
And it seems to be filling this space with something almost like a little disco.
Wait, it's not that I do not want to partake. We should partake. We should partake in it. I'm just saying I do not have to. I just think it's like someone dumping, the most delicious bread baked that morning by 6 charming bread makers in front of us, and we decide to not put the best butter on it. To not have this spark for our own use. Would be
I
to
like
not...
you, but you talk too much about this spark. It's becoming infuriating. Now, listen, I believe it's a good idea. I think it's more believable than what our friend here says about ghosts existing in this city. But your idea feels like it could kill us quite easily. So I'm going to suggest something. We go to a bar.
Go on.
We beat people up. And we send them to a doctor. They pay the doctor. And we get a cut of the money of what we gain from him healing and patching people up. Yes, sounds like a crazy idea, but actually, if you really think about it, it's probably safer. What?
Valkos isn't wrong. It probably is safer than taking on, a theft of a bank or or of electroplasm.
What kind of cut would we be getting?
Yes, I find myself, as I turn over these 3 options in my mind, that I find myself wishing to balance them in terms of risk and reward.
Yes. It depends on how many people we beat up.
Perhaps a compromise can be found. For if one were to waylay a carriage carrying a particular substance, perhaps this would also provide an opportunity to beat people up. This could provide us with not only the material to provide the spark you seek, but also an opportunity to provide a clientele to your medicinal friend.
Now that is smart. 2 in 1.
I like the idea.
I fear that in order to meet the soul that has reached out to Quellen, my friend, might require some durational persuasion that perhaps hunger will not allow. I like the job that you present to us, Juliet. If I must cast my vote, if this is a voting situation, then it is for this electroplasmic heist that Crystal casts his die.
Well, Valkos, what say you?
To meet a ghost or become one. I'll follow your lead.
Well, hopefully we're not becoming ghosts from this. I'd like to not plan that outcome. I'm not ready yet.
You look close.
Well, yeah, thank you. Yes, 1 foot in.
Very good. Well, then, it appears that we are about to move into the score.
Oh, God.
What the fuck? That sounded like the most difficult one.
How are we doing this?
20, we are planning our score, but in Blades in the Dark, you do very little planning, actually. You just kind of jump in. And so I will leave the game open right now. If you absolutely feel that you must gather some information beforehand, then you have a little time. But I can tell you that you were a former Sparkwright, Juliet, so you know that shipments come in from the docks only in rare intervals. And that one is headed into the Sparkwright facility in Coleridge tonight. So they have to transport all of this electroplasm from the docks to that facility. And so it's happening this evening. So you don't have a lot of time to gather information. But if you'd like to, you may try. Or would you like to just jump into the score?
Let's jump in. I mean, flashbacks are a thing, right? If absolutely necessary, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, Abu, while you're playing, if you find yourself in a really tight spot, remember that you can flash back to something you did earlier, and that may get you out of that tight spot. Don't worry. Watch what the other players. Yeah, don't worry. Watch what the other players are doing. And I'm sure you won't be lost. So
Everyone's just gonna flash back to a memory of themselves, and I'm just gonna be stuck there flashback.
They're not gonna literally travel through time. No, they're not gonna literally travel through time. But they it just like in a heist movie. At some point where it looks like all is lost, the heroes are cornered, the scoundrels have it in for them. They will often flash back to something they did earlier to set themselves up, to prep themselves for just this moment, to make sure that they were prepared for this eventuality. And when they do that, it costs a little bit of stress to your character sheet. Your character sheet stress is mainly, it's almost like your health meter. If you get full of stress, you're out. If you get all of your stress boxes filled, you are then out of the score. But you can take some stress based on how elaborate the flashback was, and then you can set up things that weren't established previously in the fiction. But when we plan a score, the first thing that we do is we decide on the plan and the detail to that plan. So
let me just say, the plan means what exact approach are you using? Is this going to be, in terms of getting this electroplasm off of these carriages, off of these, they might be motorized carriages, they may be hulls, is what Stasia mentioned to you. Is this going to be an assault, meaning you do violence to somebody? It sounds like you were kind of leaning that way because you're trying to get some clients for Sawtooth as well. Is it going to be a deception where you lure, trick, or manipulate someone? Stealth, where you trespass unseen. Occult, where you engage a supernatural power. Social, where you negotiate, bargain, or persuade. Or transport, which, I mean, that kind of fits here, where you carry cargo or people through danger. But any of these is fine if you decide you want to go a certain way. How are you going to, what is your plan? Assault, deception, stealth, occult, social, or transport?
I don't think we should assault. Personally, even though it's one of those things. I personally think that maybe it's almost, I don't know what people are strong at. I'm leaning towards like deception, but I mean,
yeah, in my head, it's like the thing where the old highwayman drops the tree over the road,
right.
stalls out the carriage,
yeah,
and then you
say your money or your life.
Stand and deliver. Yeah.
Yes.
Or you could then deceive them in some way, and while someone filches the plasm.
What should be mentioned is that no one can see my face. No one should see my face because they all know my face and it is not a welcome face. Anything to do with the establishment.
The spark rights specifically.
The spark rights, yes. So as long as I do not have to do the deceiving, I am down to engage in this. I will be employing my tinkering tools. I can pick some locks. I know how to work. I know what they use.
All right. Perhaps I've never played a whisper before, and this character is a whisper, and you're engaging in occult forces. So it seems crazy to do this, but couldn't we do an occult approach where I attempt to use some occultic means to stop, waylay, trap one of the carriages, and then perhaps while the other members of the crew,
and then send them to the doctor.
Yeah, while the others do the smash and grab.
Absolutely, I think that's a great idea.
Great. Well, it sounds like, do people like this plan?
Yeah.
Sure, let's do it.
Let's just go for it.
Occult. You're going to engage a supernatural power.
That's correct.
This is good for your crew because your crew's reputation is strange, and you'll get extra XP for leaning into your reputation. So you're about to do something strange in order to get your hands on this electroplasm. I need the detail now. The detail is, instead of planning the entire heist, you have to just tell me what is the arcane method. What is the arcane method for this occult heist? And so I throw it out to the entire group because just because our friend Celiacon is the Whisper doesn't mean that he has to decide this. Everybody can equally attune to the ghost field. Everybody also has experience with the supernatural. So let me know what that detail is.
It's ectoplasm, right?
Well, the electroplasm that you're grabbing is actually the blood of demons that has been refined into a sort of a fuel source.
Could we make them think that the demons are coming back for their own blood?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
We could attempt. We basically call forth an occult attack on whoever's in control of this. Whatever's carrying this oil, this plasm drum, and that's the thing that's gonna stop it.
Yeah.
Hold it up, giving you time to break in and make good your escape.
Yeah.
Wait, so did I just hear that the detail is a demon?
Yeah, let's say the detail is a demon. I am going to try to summon a demon or a demonic entity to hamper the progress of this carriage.
Okay, so you're engaging a supernatural power, and the arcane method is demon summoning.
And I have the skill occultist.
Okay, so already sounds like you guys are way up the river without a paddle in a dangerous place, and I can't wait to see how it turns out. Now, the next thing that we do is we look at our character sheets, and we are going to choose our item loadout. And what that means is you don't decide which items you're taking ahead of time, before you go on your score. You decide during the score. What you decide right now is just whether you're going to take a light load, which no one would be able to tell that you are engaging in a heist. You can hide everything under your clothes. A normal load, which, people might see that you have some equipment on you, but it's not overly auspicious. Or finally, a heavy load where you look like you're loaded for bear. This is generally the type of load you would only take when you are not going to be seen by normal citizens or law enforcement. Because if a blue coat saw you with a heavy load, they might stop you to question you. So I can already see that Juliet Belrose, you have chosen a normal load, and you can each choose a different load if you think your different roles in the score would be benefited by a different load. What about Valkos? What kind of a load are you going to take?
A heavy load.
A heavy load, Valkos. And what about Celiacon?
I'll go light.
Okay, great. And so that means, because you've chosen a light load, Celiacon, that during the score, in that long list of items beneath the load, you can choose 3 things during this score that you have on you. Only 3, because you've chosen a light load. Whereas on the other side of the spectrum, old Valkos, he can choose 6 things during the score that he just happens to have on him and use them. And it's important to use those things because those are one of the several different types of advantages you have going for you is this equipment. A lot of times if you bring some equipment to bear, it'll make something that was impossible before possible, or something that was hard a little easier. All right, so we've chosen light, standard, and heavy. I love that. And now it's time for a very fun part of the score, which is called the engagement roll. So during the engagement roll, I'm going to roll right now to see if you start out in a desperate, standard, or a desperate, risky, or controlled situation. And I'm going to roll dice, and I'm going to give you you start with 1 die.
Oof.
And by the way, I'm using these gorgeous Blades in the Dark dice from Dwarven Forge. Oh my god. A race that destroy everything that no one heard me say that. My apologies to Eric from Norse Foundry, whose t-shirt I wear. So these gorgeous dice are made specifically for Blades in the Dark. And so you start out with 1 die, and then now you need to tell me, let's see, what are some of the advantages you have? Well, I am going to go ahead and give you an example of an advantage. I'm going to give you a dice for the fact that your friend Juliet is a former Sparkrights guild member. It's in her background. And so that is enough that I think that she knows enough about their operations that's giving you a dice of advantage. So is this operation particularly bold or daring? Yeah, you're summoning a demon. That's really bold and daring. I'm going to give you a die for that. So right now you have 3 dice. Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? I kind of gave you that die. Juliet knows some things about the Sparkrights. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid? No, I don't think so. And now we see if there's anything that takes away dice. And I do think that there is something that takes away dice. I think summoning a demon is the craziest, most dangerous way to possibly run this score.
I feel like Celiac was like, no, I can call upon some aid, and we're like, yes, please do, and we have no idea that a demon is
try and call a demon.
Yeah, I'm taking away 1 die for the fact that seems like really the most dangerous way to pull off a heist is to bring in an even more dangerous and more unpredictable element. So I'm taking 1 away for that.
Oh, jeez.
And now I'm going to roll 2 dice. if you get a 6 on one of these die, you're in a controlled position. If you end up with a 1 to 3, you're in a desperate position. Okay? One more thing to keep in mind while you're playing. I'm going to be telling you to roll actions the entire time. Whenever I tell you to roll a desperate action, make sure you keep an eye on that, because if, say, for example, let's look at Valkos. If he rolls his skirmish, which is his fighting, which he almost certainly will do, and I tell him that it's desperate, he can take an XP under prowess. You see that bar beside prowess? Yeah. He can take an XP every time he rolls a desperate action in finesse, prowl, skirmish, or wreck beside prowess. If, for example, he rolled a desperate action to hunt, he could take an XP in insight. Very important. Desperate actions give you XP. And then also doing the things that your particular playbook is good at give you XP in the other XP bar that you have on your sheet, which is, where is that? Oh, here it is. It's sort of toward the bottom of your character sheet. Playbook advancement. So you mark XP, for example, for the cutter, anytime you address a challenge with violence or coercion. So definitely I feel like our friend Valkos is planning to use violence. So keep an eye on that as well. All right, here we go. Here comes the fortune roll, the engagement roll to see how this is going, and then I will set up your situation. Oh my gosh. You hear those beautiful Norse Foundry dice. Good Lord, apologies, Eric. Okay, and here they are. And I rolled a 3 and a 4. You're in a risky position. And a risky position to me, I see you all at the side of the road that's leading into Coleridge. It's leading across the bridge into Coleridge. Here, let me look at my map, actually.
With the items, with the 6 items, or do we pick them now?
No,
as you play. So, like, in the middle of playing, if you're like, I need this, just, like, check it off and you have it.
Cool.
And so, here is your risky position. You are in Char Hollow, which is a kind of a region of factories, blackened with the smoke everywhere. And you are near the bridge into Coleridge, and the convoy of hulls that is carrying the Electroplasm. There are actually just 3 huge hulls that are moving. Into Coleridge here. And they each have they're loaded for bear with Electroplasm, and they have crews of guards, Sparkrite guards, hanging off of the side, but these hulls do not need to be driven. They are not trucks, because a hull is a type of alchemical being, kind of like a golem infused with a human spirit that the government of Doskvol uses to move its its machinery and that is used as a type of slave labor. And so, although they do have wheels, they also have like these sort of giant chassis that have enormous like grappling arms, like with big like power loader type claws. And you see this sort of like shell at the top where possibly the human spirit has been entered with like a kind of like a spirit bottle into the top. And you see guards hanging off all of them, and you can see that they are driving by quickly. They are not sparing any moments. In fact, the Bluecoats have cleared some of the roadways for them, because this is the most precious commodity in all of Doskvol. It needs to get to the Sparkrite facility in the Coleridge quickly. So,
can we just watch?
And then they pass by and we're like, well, we tried.
I think this is plenty risky, because we're talking moving vehicles. That's a great question, Joe. Let's roll a fortune die to see how many guards.
I guess per hole, right?
5 are on each of these hulls. And on top of that, Joe, you should know that when I rolled the complication for our friend Juliet about how long Juliet would be hungover. Juliet got a 1, which is the worst result. So I'm ruling that Juliet realizes, as these huge hulls are like grinding by, Juliet is still coughing up smoke. And so I ask you, what do you do? And keep in mind, you can always flash back to something you set up earlier. But who would like to go first and tell me how you're going to get these barrels? You can see them there. They're like under a tarp. They're under like a tarp woven out of like weird seaweed fabric that's like really rain resistant. But you can see the big barrels. The barrels are large enough that it would be impossible for one of you to carry 2 of them.
Okay. To carry 2.
You could carry 1. Like a human could carry 1 but they would be, quite weighed down. But any of the 3 of you could carry 1 of these barrels.
And do I know that those barrels are built sturdy enough that should one fall, it's not going to just go everywhere?
Oh, you're asking fun questions that I refuse to answer without some sort of action roll.
Okay. I mean, in the past, I must have opened these up before, right? And had to utilize them in engineering of the during the Sparkwright Guild time as an engineer there.
Yes, certainly. Okay. You want to answer that badly? Electroplasm is highly volatile. You really shouldn't.
I figured.
You really shouldn't shake it around very much. Probably why there are 5 guards on these hulls, kind of protecting this. So these are like carriages, but like I said, with like loader arms and like these weird shells, faceless shells at the top that act as like kind of the center of the spirit that's controlling them. And they have the guards hanging off of them.
How many are there?
5 guards on each of the three hulls.
So I'm going to kind of, and I assume Juliet would have shared this information about the ectoplasm, right, with the team?
Oh, yes, of course,
so
yes.
I kind of look and I'm like, we can take out 2 of them. We only need 2 barrels. Send them stir crazy. I can jump and attract most of the attention of the 5 guards. 5 guards. And then suddenly you can both take the barrels and run. And
Except in Blades in the Dark, Abu, we don't plan, we just do it. So I'm going to say with your risky position, you've already planned this out and you are leaping onto one of, is that what you're saying? You're going to leap onto the truck?
Well, I wanted to set off 2 of them, essentially, or set off 1 of them. I'm going to set off 1 of them.
Oh, you're going to, by set off, what do you mean?
By literally, like, if I had a grenade right now, I would throw the grenade into one of the carriages.
Maybe the one in the front to stall out the others.
The one at the front, exactly.
And I feel to aid this, if I can, I know that previously I would have set up some sort of trap along the road that we could trigger as the second one passes, so that we can take out what follows.
Oh my god.
Well, let's go one thing at a time. Keep that in mind, Juliet. Do not lose that. My friend, Valkos, you say that you're going to take out one of the trucks. I see on your sheet that among your many different items that you could grab, I don't see a grenade, unfortunately.
Damn it.
But I do see something that says an unusual weapon. And we don't know what that means. Oh, I see demolition tools.
Right.
Uh-huh.
If you check off both of those boxes, you have demolition tools.
Great.
And
Done.
to me, a demolition tools means that you have something that you can throw that explodes, right?
Exactly.
So what action are you using to throw at the first truck to stop it?
Would it be finesse?
I think that's a great action to roll.
Right.
So go ahead and roll finesse.
So
Let's see
position
how it
is
goes.
risky.
Oh yeah, the position is risky.
And the effect?
And the effect will be great.
Right.
Because you guys are going really big with this.
Okay. Here we go. Oh, bonus die, none.
No bonus die.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
4, 5, and 5.
5, and 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, this means there's a complication.
Okay.
It means that because you didn't get a 6, you didn't get a clean success, you got some sort of complication. So I'm going to rule that the bomb goes off, and it completely. I mean, you've just trashed the front of this hull, and in fact. Whatever this thing is you threw, it was like a big wad of like explosive material, and you tossed it and you got it like perfectly onto that little shell at the top of the hull, and it exploded, and now it's just like bent metal, and there are guards falling off of it, burning like and you've created an enormous mess, but you've also caused me to have to start a clock.
Uh-oh.
That's right. Uh-oh is right. I'm going to start I think an explosion is enough for me to start a 4 o'clock. I'm starting a 4 o'clock, and that 4 o'clock is going to be for authorities arrive. When you can't go setting off explosives without the authorities coming to help. So especially when we're talking about, and I'm going to go ahead and say it's got 1 tick gone. There we go. So 1 tick is so anytime you create more catastrophe, more chaos, that's going to tick down, and the authorities are going to show up to deal with you, kind of like your wanted meter in Grand Theft Auto. And so that is the first action, our first salvo here in this heist, which was supposed to be the method was supposed to be summoning a demon, but somehow quickly became throwing explosives. And now I will turn to Juliet. Juliet, I believe you said that you had something you were ready to do.
That's gotta be causing a distraction, I'm sure. I would like to have, before they arrived, knowing when the rounds come, to have set up perhaps 2 sets of pylons on each side of the road, and create like an electric barrier that shoots across them to stop them in their tracks.
Oh, okay. So the cars are stopped by Valkos's explosion because they cannot. Well, maybe they could try to get around the car that's been destroyed by him. So, but you say you've set this up earlier, so I'm going to call for a flashback.
All right.
And the flashback, you want to create like an electrical field that kind of cut. Am I right in assuming that it cuts the cars off from one another?
Yeah, I think that would be ideal, right? If I can time it exactly right, it would cut one off from the other. And then they have to deal with, whatever.
Or the guards from each one can't get to the other cars. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That seems like a lot of prep. I'm going to say that's going to cost you. I'm only going to cost 1 stress, but I'm going to make you roll for it. So much earlier in the day, you were here and you were using what action to set up this trap?
Tinkering for sure. Tinkering away.
That sounds right. Okay, and I'm going to say that your tinkering, normally I would say that this kind of like weird electrical field seems like very difficult to set up. Like I would say that this would be not a controlled roll. This would be a risky roll for limited effect. But, and you need to remember this in the future, but I'll remember it for you this time. Your crew has supplies that are superior, don't you?
Yes.
And a workshop, don't you?
Yes. Quality supplies and workshop.
So I'm going to allow you to set this up to try to roll for this for standard effect instead of limited effect.
That makes me check my sheet. When I invent or craft a creation with Sparkcraft features, take +1 result level to my roll.
Okay, so that means that you can get great effect.
Okay.
So if this works, it's going to really work. This is hours ago when the lights were at a different level of luminosity. You were here like over in like corners beside these factories, setting up these little unassuming little rods that would set up this electro field. And now please go ahead and roll your tinker for me.
Oh my god.
A 3, a 1, and a 1. You have failed.
I'm hungover, okay? I'm doing my best.
Oh, I actually should have given you some sort of disadvantage for the hungover, but I think we already saw it happened anyway, so I don't have to do that. We have to look at consequences and what possibly could go wrong from this. So let's see. I'm going to rule
an electrical field. I mean, who could say?
Well, I'm going to rule that it actually doesn't go off. No, I want something interesting to happen. Okay. It doesn't activate remotely like you're trying to get it to, and if you want it to come on, someone's going to have to run out there and actually manually turn it on.
Yeah, okay.
So let me set the scene as it stands now. The little kind of electro cages that Juliet has set up are kind of like sputtering and not quite catching. There is a screaming outcry from all the guards who have stopped all of the hulls and are hopping off of them to kind of form a sort of a defensive perimeter around their cargo. And unless they are separated by these electrical fields, they will form like a perfect ring of defense around these hulls. And the three of you are standing again off to the side in the shadows between the factories and moldering buildings of Char Hollow. And now I perhaps turn to Celiacon. I guess it's time to summon that demon.
Yeah, that's right. You are correct, sir. So yeah, I do that, or I attempt to. Celiac summons demon. So yeah, off in the alley, I suppose. I think we said early in creation that Celiac was formerly like a real estate law sort of person, which we haven't really delved into this time.
I can't wait to see how this comes into it.
But I think what that has to do with is that he has a very thorough understanding of the history of buildings in the city. Earlier on, you described that this is a Franken city of like ancient buildings stacked upon ancient building in layers going back 1,000 years. And while most people might just see that as a cacophony, Celiac maybe knows like that such and such a house is on top of such and such a ancient palace on top of such and such an ancient holy site. And perhaps another reason we've chosen this point for our attack is this is such an ancient holy site for a god that no longer has a name, and Celiac wants to get it to come out and deal with the people that are attempting to make progress on its pathways without paying the appropriate tolls.
Very good. So
God.
That makes total sense, and I don't think it's a flashback is necessary for your knowledge of the city to come into play. But what I will say is, what action? I'm going to ask you first. What action are you going to use?
I mean, attune, right?
That makes complete sense. It's the most obvious. Attuning to the supernatural field around the city. Here's the problem. I'm going to say that summoning a demon is really, really hard, Celiacon.
Sure.
So I'm going to say that it is going to be a desperate action for limited effect, unless you can tell me reasons, ways, advantages you have that are going to change that.
Okay.
So your summoning circle or your various sigils are all set up, but you realize that this is a shot in the dark. This is going to be desperate for limited effect, meaning no matter what, you're not going to get a fine, clean success. You might not quite, get exactly what you want unless you can alter this roll in somehow. And this is where, we might barter a little bit. You might ask for a devil's bargain from me. Where you give me something and then I tell you, okay, you can go from limited to standard effect. Or you might just push yourself to get a lot of extra die, but that's not going to help with the effect level.
Okay.
Or the position.
Then, I think I mean, what we're describing here is a devil's bargain. I'm attempting to bargain with what the uninformed would refer to as a devil. What Celiac just knows is one of the old gods that still maintain influence here, and that those with the appropriate attunement can still seek their aid. And so, yeah, I'll take that devil's bargain. Let's do it.
Okay, the devil's bargain is the devil's bargain. All right, I have to think of what it should be. I think the devil's bargain is you're going to take harm.
Okay.
You're going to take harm in order to do this. In fact, I'm going to say you have to you tell me what the ritual is, but it fills both of your level 1 harms.
Okay.
In order to do it.
Okay. And I will also, if I can, I want to.
And that
really
devil's bargain is in exchange for that harm, I'm going to let you have a standard effect with this.
Okay, I'm gonna put those in two little harms. I also want to click on my item, arcane implements. So that's one of my 3.
Okay, arcane implements. Yes, tell me about that.
So that means that I've got some arcane implements that might give me more die. So I think what you see is Celiac has what look like these 2 old bracelets, and as he puts them on his wrists in this alleyway, as again this sort of sigillistic posture comes over his hands. He's throwing some sort of demonic gang sign, and and as he's saying a prayer in a language that no one understands in the center of this magic circle. And at that moment, there's the bracelets. You notice they're what you thought maybe was a piece of adornment on the side, goes into his wrists, and these spikes have created stigmata in his wrists as blood is kind of pouring down his forearms, as they continue to bore into his flesh, as this black Tycherosi blood is suddenly dripping onto the ground, marking this the circle in which he's praying.
Your arcane implements, I'm going to say, make this not a desperate action, but a risky action. So,
and those 2 harms are the 2 wounds in my.
Yes. Why don't we put flagellated, or what would you call that?
Stigmatic.
Stigmata. Yeah, put stigmata for both of them. Yeah. And so I want you to see that once you've taken those harms, you've now filled up your level 1 harm counter, so you now have less effect on all of your rolls. So you guys have just fired off your glass cannon, Celiacon. You have cracked your glass cannon, Celiacon, in the summoning of this demon. However, because it is no longer a desperate roll, please do not take resolve XP for it. But so you lose out on that. But what you do earn is there's no chance of this doing more harm to you if you fail it right now.
Okay, so the position is now.
The position is now risky.
Risky.
And the effect is now standard.
Okay. And do I get a bonus die at all for the?
No, I allowed you to have standard effect.
Okay, great. That's it
for the damage that you took.
Okay. So now we just hope that the dice go my way. So yeah, you're just seeing this blood run down his hands, his eyes rolling back.
What is he doing? Just.
Okay, I rolled, and let's see what happened. Oh boy.
Oh no.
I rolled a 4 and a 1.
But it's just the higher one, right?
Wait, it's the higher of the 2.
It's the 4. It's the 4.
It's the 4. So you succeed with a consequence. Now let me tell you.
There are always consequences.
Let me tell you what happens. You're in an industrial part of Char Hollow, old factories, old printing presses and weird old kind of cotton gin type apparatus are in these old factory buildings. suddenly from all around you, over the din of the hulls, still idling, you hear the sound of screeching metal, of metal like twisting and breaking, of like metal cables snapping, and suddenly bashing its way out of one of these old buildings comes this like animate pile of metal that is just like shrieking, but its voice is the shrieking of iron scraping against iron. Its teeth open. Its teeth are made out of like various apparatus that used to like weave cloth and rope together, but now these hooks have become a maw that is hungry for something. This thing has built a body out of old machinery, and it smashes its way into the middle of the other two hulls. The consequence of only rolling a 4 is that this thing isn't doing as you wished and carefully just scaring away the guards. It is knocking over both of these hulls like with a full-on football tackle. So already canisters of electroplasm are falling loose and rolling out onto the pavement. And now I ask, what next? And for who I turn to, I think it probably would be Valkos.
So I am going to essentially try and run in and take take one of the canisters and just bolt it.
Yeah. That's the move.
By the way, I think that before Valkos does that, I have to go ahead and say, I'm adding another tick to the authorities show up when you summon a giant screeching demon.
Seems fair.
So now you only have 2 ticks left before the police show up. Sorry to say. And there we go. And so 2 ticks left. And Valkos, yes, you can certainly run out and try to grab one of these canisters. What action are you going to use to do that?
Would it again be like a finesse thing?
It could be. This is more of like kind of like it requires strength more than precision. It requires speed. But if you want to use finesse, it just means if you use finesse, it means you're being very careful about how you do this, which is probably a good idea with explosives.
And I'm gonna essentially use my finesse, but also with my subterfuge sort of supplies, which I have, which I'm giving myself. And the idea is essentially to almost be, would subterfuge, would it be something like, again, like, could I do like, I don't know, like a smoke bomb or some shit, or like something that,
Wow. Really stretching the definition of subterfuge supplies, which I think you just tried to close the menu as I started to read it. It says a theatrical makeup kit, a selection of blank documents ready for the forger's hand, costume jewelry, a reversible cloak, and a distinctive hat, a forged badge. Yeah, I'm afraid that subterfuge supplies, unless you want to use that cloak to kind of carefully kind of cradle the, I will give you an advantage. You're being finessey, you're being like very careful with the electroplasm. I will give you an advantage if you want to check off subterfuge supplies and use them that way as just sort of something to carry the electroplasm in, where it'll be a little safe and more cushioned.
And yes, I think that's
or you can uncheck it, because you get 4 more choices for your equipment. You can uncheck it and just say, "Hey, I'm running out there and grabbing it." It's up to you.
I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna stick with my guns and go for that. That's the
great. So you see Valkos tearing mustaches and top hats out of his pack, throwing away a false nose, and pulling out a cloak. I can't believe he's doing this. But carefully, he's going to roll the canister of electroplasm that is rolled free onto. And here's the thing, Valkos. Right now, this demon is just tearing into these holes, and the holes are fighting him. It's like a kaiju battle in the middle of the streets of Doskvol. These holes are like these big mechanical beings, and they are smashing against metal. So this is, right now, getting out here and carefully picking this up in this cloth and making sure it's safe is very dangerous. This is a desperate action, and it will have only the standard effect. If you will have secured, but you will still be in the danger zone. You will have secured the electroplasm, but you will still be in a dangerous area. This is not like fully like I grabbed it and I left, unless you get a critical. If you get a critical, you can have grabbed it and be out of the danger zone. Does that sound fine?
That sounds fair.
Now, finesse gives you 3 dice. Would you like anything else? Would you like to perhaps take 2 stress and gain an extra die? This is a pretty important roll.
Yes, I am going to take 2 stress.
Take 2 stress. There they are, and you get an extra die. You can now roll 4 dice.
Okay. And it's desperate, right?
And it's a desperate action, so go ahead and mark on your prowess counter a point of XP. Pardonnez-moi. Oh, very good. And now, let us
The effect is what?
The effect will be standard. You will secure it, but you will not have made away with it.
And then 1 bonus die. Okay.
Holy shit.
Yes.
642,
Abu
baby.
Salim dice luck strikes again.
Yes.
Abu rolled 2 6s, a 4 and a 2, which means that Valkos runs out,
That's
quickly wraps the canister in a theatrical cloak,
And it's beautiful. It glimmers in the light.
and
Gorgeous.
carefully hoists it over his shoulder, right where it will not be volatile, and then skittering around through the feet of these massive metal beings that are doing battle. He makes his way off of the battlefield. You have all earned a canister of electroplasm if you can get away from this before the police come. Okay, so now I turn to Juliet. Juliet, you see that Valkos has there's more coin in it if you get more electroplasm. What do you want to do?
Just give me an idea of how much 1 barrel of electroplasm would be, I guess, even if it's not exactly accurate, but just a rough estimate so I know what I'm...
1 barrel is going to generate for your crew 2 coin, because you have to share with Stasia.
Okay. Okay, and then they're fighting a demon. The holes are fighting a demon.
Yes,
are they all? Are all of the guards also involved in that fight?
Well, some of the guards the guards have all turned and are trying to fight the demon as well. But even the ones that, not all of them have firearms because firearms aren't quite as prevalent as they are in modern United States of America. So they're not very effective, right? They're like coming at him with swords and things like that, and it's not really doing much. And as you watch right now, the demon sweeps a hand made of some sort of industrial combine through the ranks of the guards and just chops 2 of them into chunks with one swing of its enormous industrial claw. Right before one of the pincers of one of the hulls grabs what is passing for its neck and lifts it into the air. So it truly is a clash of the titans here on the bridge to Coleridge.
Okay, so positioning wise, even if I went to go in person to fix the electrical field, would it separate one off, or is it too mixed up? Like,
if you fix that electrical field right now, you will trap the demon inside of it and most of the guards.
Most. Okay. And so
Not
on
all,
the outside,
most.
though,
You
there
are
would be
hungover,
some.
lady. You need to get home, have some breakfast.
Girl, take care of yourself. Girl,
Self-care,
look at your
girl.
choices. Do what you need to do.
Nail that off. Okay. You know what? We got a barrel. I'm just going to take out some demolition tools.
Okay. Didn't expect that to come next. Okay.
And take out. Here, let me take that off. What I assume are some little like rolling explosives that I can throw. Magnetized explosives.
Oh
that
my
I'm going
word!
to-
We're really Imagineering today, aren't we, players? I'm not going to allow them to be automatically magnetized. But you do
Fine.
have demolition
Can I-
tools, and I did allow Valkos to use that as a sort of a throwable explosive, so I will allow it.
You could nuke it.
Okay. What if I used another one of my load out items of gadget?
Oh, interesting.
Could I make him magnetized with a gadget?
Yes, you may.
Oh,
Okay. And now I will throw them in and I don't have finesse. I'm just throwing them towards just adding more mayhem and trying to destroy as much as possible there and then running for it. Behind
Okay,
Valkos.
so you're not trying to get any more electroplasm. You're just trying to just wreck everything with more
I would like to
explosives.
destroy the If we can't have the electroplasm, no one can. Certainly Sparkrights can't.
Wow. Okay.
This is going to bump up the street value. There'll be a brief shortage.
Exactly. Rare commodity.
Okay. Very good. Then what I would like you to do is tell me what action you're going to use. I mean, there's an obvious one.
Yeah, wreck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So would you like to use wreck?
I will. And could I take some stress and give myself an extra die because I feel like I'm thinking about all of the stuff I went through dealing with the Sparkrights and how there's a lot of memories and baggage there, and it's just fueling this rage to really screw them over.
Yeah, you can push yourself. So I think what you're trying to do here is you're trying to make sure that these things, these creatures and guards aren't interested in you because they're too busy dealing with being exploded, right?
Yes.
And so you're going to roll, because you've just pushed yourself, 2 dice for wreck. I'm going to tell you something. I want you to, this is, go ahead and mark an XP in your prowess. This is a desperate action because you have to get, even though they're magnetized, you have to get pretty close, and you could take some harm here. If it goes poorly for you, it's not even going to be first level harm like our friend Celiacon. It's going to be like a second level harm if you take some harm, that's why it's a desperate action. But it will have great effect. It will really blow some shit up because you have specifically put magnets onto these bombs so that they go right to the target you want them to go to.
Okay.
Remember when I said I wanted us to start out as a low-level crew, just trying to get by, trying to scrape 2 coins together, dealing with normal day in, day out of the underworld, and then my players said they wanted to summon a demon made of metal and then throw magnet bombs. The best laid plans. All right, are you ready to roll? Mm-hmm. Here we go. Here comes the 2 dice wreck roll, and it's looking really good, right? 6.
Yes.
That's a perfect success.
Yes.
Check. These bombs immediately attach to. Where do they attach to?
Well, I assume hopefully one on a hull, one maybe on a demon.
Okay. That is where they attach. And you can see the little kind of diode on the side kind of blinking and then getting a little faster. And then boom, as Juliet runs away, the demon is torn to pieces. Its body is ripped to shreds. Likewise, one of the hulls explodes and all the electroplasm on its back as well. You all have destroyed an entire shipment of electroplasm practically. Do you realize the cost of this decimation? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and bring the authority counter. That was precision. You didn't get a complication. I'm gonna leave the authority counter where it is. Maybe they're waiting until they can get the SWAT team together before they even head into this area. No, it's still just 2 ticks on the clock that says when the authorities come in. And so now I will turn finally to Celiacon. Celiac, you see that your friends seem to have left the field. What do you do?
Okay, is there a fortune roll to see if there's a nearby electroplasmic jug?
Sure, yeah. There can be a fortune roll.
Just to see if there's one.
I'm gonna give you a pretty good chance because they're everywhere now. So I'm gonna roll a couple dice for that fortune roll. Unfortunately, the biggest, the highest number I rolled was a 4, which to me means that yes, there's one there, but there's a catch. It's leaking a little bit. There's one near you, but it seems to be leaking a little bit.
Okay. Let's grab it.
What is wrong? Oh my god.
Why not?
Oh my god.
All right, blue fire is covering the area, like arcs of lightning are tearing through the air. The smell of ozone is in the air as Celiac comes out of the shadows and scoops up a leaking canister of electroplasm. And where are you going with this? What are you doing?
All right, I want to make good my escape, but maybe in a weird way. I'm going to click something that I don't even need to add to my loadout, which is a ghost key. There is a warren of ethereal, like the dead world still exists in a way, overlaid on the world of the living. And if you've got the right implements, you can unlock a door to nowhere and step through it and emerge somewhere else. And I would like to do that.
Okay, very good. So you're going to take electroplasm into the ghost field. That's interesting.
I figured that would.
What action are you going to use to do this?
Be a hard thing to do, but why not? I am going to use prowl.
Yes. Okay. Very good. And it is going to be what you didn't realize was that taking electroplasm, a substance that wards off ghosts, into the ghost field with a leaking canister is absolutely horrifically deadly.
Okay.
So what I'm going to say,
sometimes you die in the first ep.
Yeah. What I'm going to say is, this is a desperate action. What action are you using?
Prowl.
Prowl, right. Okay. So go ahead and mark XP for that.
I'm going to push myself also.
This is a desperate action. If you fail this action, you will take a level 3 harm, which takes you out of the score and leaves your body here. Okay?
Cool. Super cool.
This is a desperate action. But I will say it will have standard effect. It will, if you manage to do this, you will sneak a canister of electroplasm through the ghost field.
So
are you ready to roll this?
Okay, and I took.
How many dice do you have for prowl?
I just have 1 pip in prowl.
Oh my god, this is.
Can I take stress to add a die to push?
I think you should take 2 stress and you can add a die.
Okay.
And this will be our final roll of the night. Let's see if Celiacon blows himself up. A 1 and a 3. Celiac, you try to take a canister of electroplasm into the ghost field.
Feels like I know that, but
but would you though? The forces of the arcane are very strange. And by the way, that's not in the book. That's just something I made up about electroplasm.
Right.
So there's no way you could have known it.
This is the hubris that you're filled with once you've gotten a demon to do your bidding.
Absolutely, a demon that's probably really happy with being summoned here and then blown up. The final thing I'm going to narrate for the evening is that as you enter the ghost field, that leaking canister starts to shake and glow. And the ghost field, by the way, it's like you've entered kind of this like whispering like hallway of darkness. Yeah, where there are these like shadows, like shadowy clouds moving all about you, and you can just barely see, and they almost seem kind of hazy, the structures that were in the real world around you. And you enter the ghost field, and the whispers start to pick up, and like whatever's whispering is very angry with you. And then the canister starts to shake and glow.
And I think this is when his own voice comes back to him from an earlier conversation talking about how, like, this has nothing to do with greed. as he's gotten greedy.
I would like for you to take the level 3 harm, Spirit Burned.
Yep.
And that is where we will end today's session.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, I mean, at least I got to, really, really trash one character. I mean, that's the kind of game master I am, No, I hope Celiac, he survives.
I think if you just see the translucent bony hand with the fucking with the wrist guard, blood everywhere, and then floating down like into the open palm is like a little business card for Sawtooth.
Yeah. Hey, you guys forgot to sell people on Sawtooth.
Oh shit!
Don't go
I handed the guards a couple business cards.
As I like finessely took this barrel, I just sprinkled some business cards as I went along. So
Exactly.
Sawtooth is gonna love being connected to this.
He really is.
Here, my final thoughts. We play role-playing games to have fun and to see what happens, to find out what happens. And tonight we had an immense amount of fun, and we definitely had a lot of fun finding out what was going to happen. I will say, if you want to refine, even perfect your Blades in the Dark play, I will say that even though you don't actually plan in Blades in the Dark, you can act like you did during the score. This was the most chaotic bomb-throwing charge right at them score I've seen in a while, and man, was it fun. But man, like, you guys are just like, I set off another bomb. Well, I set off 3 more bombs. I loved it. I want to say thank you to our players. Find them online. Tell them how much you love them. Watch and subscribe to everything they do. Josephine, McAdam, Salim, and Ross Bryant. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Rick.
And we'll be
Thanks.
back soon and find out how this all shakes down in downtime. Will Celiac survive? We'll find out. Until then, this has been Haunted City. Good night, scoundrels.